The next time you play 18 holes, stop before you take your shot on the first tee. Look down at that fairway. Really look at it. That color isn't an accident. That density, the way the turf springs back under your feet, the way it holds its green through a full summer of heat and foot traffic and drought, that didn't come from a bag you can buy at Home Depot. Golf course superintendents are accountable for 150 acres of turf every single morning. Before the first cart rolls out, before the first tee time, that grass has to look exactly right. These are professionals who have spent careers studying soil biology, root development, and nutrient timing. And for over 100 years, there has been one product that almost every serious grounds crew in this country has kept on their supply list. It costs $12 for a 50 LOB bag. You can find it at any feed store in the country, and in most cases, you can pick it up today. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, where to get it, and how to apply it. I'm also going to show you the liquid application technique that grounds crews have run on greens and tees for decades. A method that shows visible results in 5 to 7 days with nothing but a bucket and a pump sprayer. But before I do that, you need to understand what's actually in the bag you've been buying at Home Depot, and why the result always fades right when you think you finally cracked the code. Scott's Miracle-Gro is a $3.8 billion publicly traded company, ticker symbol SMG. They own Scott's. They own Miracle-Gro. They own Ortho, the Consumer Roundup line, and Tomcat. If it's on the lawn care aisle at a big box store, there is a better-than-even chance Scott's Miracle-Gro owns the brand name on the bag. In 2012, they paid a $12.5 million federal fine after admitting they had sold wild bird seed coated with pesticides that were toxic to birds and had falsified EPA registration numbers on their own products for years. That's not an allegation. That is a federal admission. It is public record. That is the company giving you lawn care advice every spring. Now, here is exactly how Scott's Turf Builder works, and why the result never holds long enough to justify the price. Scott's Turf Builder uses synthetic nitrogen, primarily urea, sometimes ammonium sulfate depending on the formulation. When synthetic nitrogen hits your lawn, it does exactly one thing. It greens up fast. You see color improvement in 10 days. The lawn looks better. The purchase feels worth it. 6 to 8 weeks later, it's gone. Not stored in the soil. Not building anything below the surface. Gone. Penn State's Turf Grass Extension Program has published extensively on synthetic urea nitrogen release. It spikes fast. It doesn't last. And it moves out of the root zone in 45 to 60 days. Leached out by rain, volatilized in heat, flushed through before the grass had a real chance to use it. But that's only part of what's happening beneath the surface. Repeated applications of synthetic nitrogen, especially urea, gradually acidify your soil. They feed the grass leaf while starving the soil biology. Earthworm populations decline. The beneficial microbial community that makes nutrients available to roots gets suppressed season after season. You're not building a lawn. You're renting 6 weeks at a time while quietly degrading the soil underneath it. The lawn fades. You buy another bag. And then another. That is not a side effect of synthetic fertilizer. That is the product design. A homeowner who builds healthy soil once, who stops needing to rebuy every 6 weeks, is a customer Scott's never sees again. The release rate, the short window, the formulation, all of it is engineered around a revenue model, not a lawn model. If you've spent $200 or $300 on Scott's products in a single season and still felt like you were chasing results, now you know why. The product golf course superintendents have relied on for 100 years is alfalfa. Not an extract, not a reformulated compound with a brand name. Raw alfalfa meal or alfalfa pellets, The same product sold at feed stores and rural co-ops as horse and rabbit feed. 50 lb for $12, available in every state. Here's what it has that Scott's Turf Builder doesn't. Alfalfa meal runs roughly 3:1:2 NPK, 3% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, 2% potassium. Those numbers don't look impressive on paper, and that's by design. The nitrogen in alfalfa isn't synthetic. It's protein-bound, locked inside plant material that soil microbes have to break down before it releases. That process takes 8 to 12 weeks. Your lawn gets a slow, even feed across a full growing window instead of a spike that collapses in 6. The soil biology manages the release timing for you. You're working with the soil instead of bypassing it. At 5 lb per 1,000 SQFT, a $12 bag of alfalfa covers the same area as a $45 bag of Scott's Turf Builder. But coverage and NPK still aren't the reason grounds crews have been reaching for it for a century. Alfalfa contains a compound called triacontanol. It's a naturally occurring plant growth regulator, a long-chain fatty alcohol found in the waxy coating of the alfalfa leaf. University turf grass programs and USGA green section research have documented its effects. Triacontanol stimulates root development, increases chlorophyll production, and improves the grass plant's ability to take up nutrients already present in the soil profile. It is not in Scott's Turf Builder. It is not in any synthetic fertilizer on the Home Depot shelf. It only exists in the plant material itself. That is why the $12 feed store bag produces results that the $45 synthetic bag structurally cannot. Not because it's more concentrated, but because it contains something the synthetic bag is incapable of replicating. Golf course superintendents don't have the luxury of a mediocre result. If the fairway looks off on a Tuesday morning, they hear about it before the first tee time. These professionals manage turf at the highest standards of expectation in the industry. And they've been reaching for alfalfa not because it was the cheapest option, but because it builds the kind of turf that holds deep root systems, consistent color that doesn't spike and crash, soil biology that compounds from one season to the next instead of degrading. That's what the fairway has, and it comes from a feed store, not a big box retailer. Here's the exact application protocol. Rate 5 lb per 1,000 fused SQFT. If your lawn is 6,000 fused SQFT, you're putting down 30 odorreserve, a little over half the bag per application. Equipment: a broadcast spreader set to medium-low. Run 2 passes, one north to south, one east to west. The cross pattern keeps distribution even across the full surface. Pellets flow through a broadcast spreader cleanly. Alfalfa meal is finer. A drop spreader handles it better on smaller areas, or you can hand broadcast on a calm day. Timing: apply when soil temperatures are above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Below that threshold, microbial activity slows, and the slow release mechanism stops working. You're just laying material on cold ground. For most of the country, that's late March to mid-April in the South, and April into early May in the Midwest and Northeast. Apply again in September before temperatures drop back below the threshold. 2 applications a year is enough to see a real shift in color and density. 3 will accelerate the soil building process. Avoid sustained applications during peak July and August heat. Not because it burns, there's no synthetic nitrogen here that can burn, but because extreme heat suppresses microbial activity the same way cold does, and the release won't happen efficiently until the soil temperature moderates. After application, water it in with about a ½ inch of irrigation. You need the material in contact with the soil surface where the biology lives. A light rain within 24 hours works. Avoid a heavy downpour in the first few hours before the pellets have had a chance to begin breaking down. Mowing height matters too. Don't scalp the lawn going into application week. Keep your mowing height at 3 to 3.5 inches. That canopy holds moisture, and creates the microenvironment where decomposition happens most efficiently. Now, the liquid method. Grounds crews figured this out decades ago. They call it alfalfa tea, and they use it on greens and teas where a precise, fast liquid application is easier to manage than a broadcast spread. Because the nutrients are already in solution when they hit the soil, you'll see visible results in 5 to 7 days instead of the 2 to 3 weeks the dry application takes. Here's how to make it. Add 1 cup of alfalfa meal. Loose meal works better than pellets for this. To 5 gallons of water in a clean bucket. Stir thoroughly. Let it steep for 24 hours, stirring occasionally. 48 hours gives you a stronger brew. The water will turn a greenish brown. That's the triacontanol and the soluble nutrients going into solution. After steeping, strain it through mesh or an old pillowcase into a second bucket. Transfer the liquid into a standard pump sprayer. Apply at 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet. One 5-gallon batch covers 5,000 square feet. Walk a slow, even grid. Apply in the early morning or evening, not midday in direct sun, which causes the liquid to volatilize off the leaf surface before the tissue can absorb it. If no rain is expected in the next 24 hours, follow with a light watering to carry it into the soil. 1 cup of alfalfa meal, 1 5-gallon bucket. The rest of the $12 bag is sitting in your garage, enough for the next 6 dry applications on top of every batch of tea you brew this season. That's what grounds crews figured out on the fairway. It never made it to the Home Depot shelf because there's no margin in a technique that costs a cup of feed and a bucket of water. That is alfalfa meal. The $12 feed store bag golf course superintendents have used for a century, while Scott's built a $3.8 billion company, convincing you to spend $45 for less and to come back and spend it again in 6 weeks when it fades. You can find alfalfa pellets at any local feed store or rural co-op. If you search online, look for 50 lb bags in the $10 to $14 range. Links to what I recommend are in the description below. I do earn a small commission if you buy through them, but this is something I'd put down on my own lawn before anything on the Scott's shelf. Subscribe if this is the kind of thing you want more of. Every week, I cover what the professionals actually use, not what's been packaged for the consumer aisle. Next video, the professional-grade herbicide that actually stops weeds for good, the one they don't carry at Home Depot. I'll see you there. If this story changed the way you look at the grass in your yard, please subscribe and like the video. We are uncovering the secrets of the soil that they have tried to keep hidden. Let's grow a better future together. The next treasure of lawn care wisdom will be revealed soon.